Last of Us, Nick?
I didn't ask you anything. Oh, I was just wondering where you're at in the game.
Oh, where I am? I'm past the boat with Abby.
Okay. Oh, so you're
I'm
in.
I'm deep in. Yeah. I think I'm just about the point. Oh, I just got the medical supplies from the hospital. I beat the Rat King, and I made it back to the aquarium for them to amputate her arm.
Cool.
So that's where, if that gives you any approximation of how far I'm in. And I was just talking to two of my friends last night about it, and I gotta say, I played The Last of Us Part 1, and that was like I was replaying that game for the first time.
You're talking about that new remake?
The new remake,
full remake?
Yeah, the graphics are incredible. The performances are wonderful. I'm reliving those moments like, it is over, Tess. And there's like that mic drop moment, and like the part where they find Bill's lover strung up while they're arguing. Just so many good moments, I find myself playing The Last of Us Part 2, and I'm not as thrilled as the first time I was. Like, I feel like every time I play the first Last of Us, I'm like, this game's so fucking good. Where this one, the gameplay is better. It's in 4K, and it's 60 FPS now. It has, like, the DualSense haptic feedback and shit. That's all fun. But I just find myself with the cutscenes now being like, come on. Like, I want to kill somebody, like...
Yeah.
Well,
it's funny. Go ahead, please.
Oh, I was going to say, I think it's because they're trying to evoke two different things. When you played the first game, it's more about a man who is hardened to the world and trying to reopen, that part of him to be, alive again and love. Whereas the second one obviously was a revenge story and wanted to make you feel terrible. So we played that first game the first time. We were just excited to be back in the world with these characters that we loved. And now every time you replay it, it's more... that's gone, and you're just left with the story that's like hate and vengeance.
It's also marred in adversarial controversy, and like you just can't get that taste out of your mouth while you're playing it. Like, because I played the whole thing, and my friends were asking me like, "What do you think?" And I was like, "I think this is one of the greatest games ever made for this platform. It's certainly the best looking PlayStation game that's ever been made." And it is certainly, like, as far as narrative is concerned, like, they really went for it. Like, they're telling multiple stories at one time, multiple characters, like I said, really went for it. But this time I'm just like, come on, I'm trying to kill people. Like, yeah, I know. She's, like, I felt like the first time I was playing through it, like 2 years ago when it came out, I was, like, really hooked. I was, like, really sucked into the story, And I was like, for instance, like there was moments in the gameplay. And what I mean by that is like when I'm playing as Abby and I'm moving through that boat and you're clearing level after level and you have to be silent and shit like that too. And you got to be real quiet and like, you don't want to piss off the clickers. And then there was one moment in when you first get to Seattle as Ellie. I'll never forget it. I was also stoned, but when you go to the Fedra building and you got to go in there, and it's also like the Jewish temple. Mm-hmm. But either way, I remember I'm prone in the grass. There's like a clicker off to the left, and like there's the two runners to the right, and I get spotted. And how it's like that creepy music, and then they start chasing me, and the motion blur comes in, and I'm running like, oh fuck, I'm getting like I remember I had to pause the game and like take a moment because like this game is firing on all cylinders right now, and it is absolutely incredible. I haven't experienced that this time around just yet.
No,
which is kind of unfortunate because I played the first one again, like the newest remake, and I was like, this is amazing. Like, this game is still incredible. I love it.
I just didn't like with Last of Us 2. Like, I haven't beaten Last of Us 2. I put it down, and really, I'm trying to find the motivation to pick it back up. I wanted to play the damn game, all right? And for the first couple hours, you are in a cutscene, or you're air quotes playing the game, where you're basically just holding forward on the stick and walking with a horse on like on a cart.
I will say
not
that
really doing anything.
When you play them back to back, I was like, well, the first one certainly opens up with more of a bang.
Yeah, I appreciate them for not trying to top that. You
can't.
Timing?
You just can't. Like
they knew better.
I knew what was gonna happen, and I rewatched it again when I played it, and my eyes welled up. I was like, oh my god, it sucks so much. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
so AJ, where are you in? Like, you've never cleared that like first half hour mark?
No, I played about. I played about 6 hours of it.
Did you make it to Seattle?
Yeah, I was already past Seattle and stuff, and that just I liked at that point. I was like, "Yay, this is getting good." But then I forgot something else came up. But I was like, "This game really." I'm out of loyalty. I'm trying to trudge through this game. It's just not. I can respect how beautiful it looks and how well it plays. It just didn't grab me.
We were saying that last night, that even if you look at the negative reviews of that game, everyone's like, "Yeah, this is one of the greatest looking video games I've seen in my life." Now, let me ask you a question: Is it the gameplay that you don't like, or is it the narrative? Because I feel like those are the two biggest criticisms, and I feel like one of those is more legitimate than the other. But I'd like to hear what you have to say.
You better
I think
choose
gameplay
wisely.
is you can't really. I don't think there's much to critique necessarily on the gameplay. I think it's really good, and it's not a remake of Last of Us 1. It's an air quotes evolution of it.
Yeah,
where you get some of the same things and you can do more with them.
That's exactly what I expected going into it. Like, I was
That's
like,
what sequels do.
Yeah, this isn't gonna revolutionize the gameplay. It's gonna build on it. And like the controls were tighter. They added the dodge and they added prone. And you couldn't put those things in the remake of 1 because you just break the fucking level design.
Yeah, you would walk through it. I guess it comes down to the narrative, but I don't mean that in too much of a negative way.
Yeah. Now, what specifically about the narrative?
Okay, again, I don't mind it. That's why I fell off. I didn't just put the controller down. I was just like, I'll play for an hour today.
Yeah, sounds like a bigoted response if you ask me.
Yeah. It's because there's a lesbian lead. No, I'm just kidding. I don't care, dude. It just didn't grab me as much. I appreciate, and I don't want to major spoil as much as probably it's obvious to spoil, the very bold decision they made at the kind of front quarter of the game. I appreciate them swinging hard, but to me, it was a little bit of like a limp kind of thing where it felt almost cheap.
Dude, everybody knows at this point.
Okay,
Nick,
when they
talking
offed
about Joel. Yeah.
It felt cheap. I didn't feel sad in the way the beginning of Last of Us 1 started. I felt like, oh, really? That's the route they're going for? And maybe it's just the wrong way I received it.
For Pat and I, we were talking about this the other night, and for me, what I think was so great about that moment is it really puts you in the shoes of Ellie, where it's like I love Joel. We all love Joel.
Who doesn't love Joel?
Now we're on a fucking mission. We're gonna go kill this bitch. We're gonna go after her.
Yeah.
Which I thought that was such a great way to throw you into the driver's seat of the game.
Exactly, and the reason why I'd say why I totally agree with that is because when I watched him kill her, I stood in this room and screamed at my TV, "We're coming for you, bitch! We're coming!
It's like
we're coming!"
When everyone's dad watches a football game on Sunday, that's how animated.
Yeah, I was like, "We're coming for you!"
I don't mind it.
So there was that, and then the other thing we talked about specifically is like fridging, like. If they would have just set Dina up to murder her in the first how many hours of the game, like I feel like that would have been cheaper than them offing the protagonist from the first one. And also the final point with I guess defending why they killed Joel is like, what story was left to tell about Joel? You know what I mean? That was his story. Like, hardened man lost his daughter, 20 years later learns to love again. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's. And you see that, like, his character is consistent with that, with the way that he acts in Last of Us 2. You know what I mean? He didn't just leave Abby to die. He saw a young girl in trouble and was like, let me help this bitch. You know what I mean? Whereas, like, he even in the first... Hey, bitch, you all right? And then even in the first game, like, he admits that he's done horrible things, you know? And that he was a marauder, so to speak, in the apocalypse, you know?
I'm fine with them killing him. I'm very fine with that because it is very appropriate for, to tie in how the last game ended into this one. To me, it's just, I don't know if it's the way it's shot, the way you sneak into the house. To me, it didn't feel very video gamey as I'm sneaking into the house. I felt no stakes sneaking into the house. Like I tried to get caught and I couldn't. Like it's really.
What are we talking about?
In Last of Us 2.
Yeah.
Right before they killed Joel.
Right.
Joel. When you're sneaking into the house to try to save